Good evening. I'd like to call the September 15th, 2025 regular Town Council meeting to order. And if you can all rise, if you are able, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilor Roulette. Councilor Buganski. Present. Councilor Balboni. Mayor Delnicki.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Carey. Present. Councilor King. Here. Councilor Fitzgerald. Here. Councilor Pendleton. Present.
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight we have a scheduled public hearing at 8 p.m. Wherever we are in the agenda at that time, I will pause the regular meeting to begin the public hearing. Once it concludes, I'll call the regular meeting back to order. I appreciate everyone's flexibility and cooperation as we move through tonight's agenda. On Wednesday, September 17th at 11 a.m., the South Windsor Korean-era Veterans Recognition Ceremony is taking place here in the Council Chambers. This special event will honor the service and sacrifice of those who served during the Korean War era. We're honored to welcome Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysewicz and Veterans Affairs Commissioner Ron Welch, along with members of our veteran community. The posting of the colors will be conducted by American Legion Post 133, whose continued dedication to honoring service is deeply appreciated. I encourage residents to attend and join us in expressing our gratitude. It's a moment to reflect, to recognize, and to stand together and appreciate of those who served with courage and conviction. And finally, I'd like to take a moment to affirm a shared truth. The United States is a constitutional republic built on the freedoms of speech and thought. These rights belong to everyone. They're part of what makes South Windsor a strong and caring community. We may hold different views, but we also hold a common commitment to treating one another with respect, listening with openness, and showing that unity does not require uniformity. Together, let's keep building a community where every voice matters and every conversation moves us forward. It's up to all of us to ensure every voice matters. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to item 5, Councilor Pendleton.
Adoption of agenda.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. Any changes, additions? Councilor Buganski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a couple changes. First, I'd like to make a motion that we move items 13I and 13J to after item 6.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Any discussion on that? Okay. And any other changes, discussions? Councilor Buganski?
Thank you. One more. I'd like to make a motion to postpone item 13B until the next regularly scheduled council meeting so that we can make sure that it's an item that actually has to come before the council for approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. I've just brought this up to have it postponed to the next meeting to get more understanding of the bylaws. If the council does change the bylaws, or the library can do it on their own, so I'm just looking for more direction.
Is that postponed?
Postpone to the next regular scheduled meeting.
Okay.
Okay. And then I have like to revise item 13D on the published agenda. The discussion item currently listed as Brook Farm Fire should instead read Niederwuffer Road Water Supply, which better reflects the intended topic. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Okay. And one more is I have a quick correction to item 13J. Stephen Cordero's last name was misspelled, and it should be spelled correctly as C-O-R-D-E-I-R-O. And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Counselor King?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Do we still need to, because this would be an adoption of the agenda, to postpone the adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting since we don't have them? Because if we adopt the agenda, then that would be included in that. But instead, should we remove
Oh,
and
sure, if you'd
postpone
like to
that?
make that motion to...
Yes, so I moved that we take out number 8, since we don't have those minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Okay, let me get this worded correctly. Okay, we have, I'd like to, has been moved and seconded, so if we, all those in favor of the agenda as amended, say aye. Opposed? Seeing none, agenda is adopted as amended. Okay. Moving on to item 6, communications and reports from the town manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In terms of our KERMA equity distribution, annually KERMA, the town's insurance carrier, makes an equity distribution when they have a good financial year. This year, similar to previous years, the town received its distribution at the Insurance Control Committee meeting. The distribution for this year is $75,889 and will be recognized as additional revenue from the previous year, since that money came from the previous year, and it'll be added to the general fund. In terms of the Governor's Emergency Management Drill, on October 9th, 2025, the town participated in the Governor's Annual Emergency Management Drill. This year's scenario involved a Category 5 drought with water access issues, forest fires, and an impending hurricane. As always, our staff performed extremely well and is incredibly well equipped to handle disasters. I want to extend my appreciation to the 20 staff members who spent their morning participating in this drill. Our employee picnic, the town hosted its annual employee picnic on October 4th, 2025. It was nice to see some of you attend. I would like to recognize the staff in my office who hosted this year's cooking and providing the awards. Additionally, thank you to Parks and Recreation for supplying the cornhole and trivia games. I would also like to mention that as part of the event, I hand out welcome awards to new employees and years of service awards. Unlike previous years, the longest years of service award was 25 years, and only a couple of employees received it. Consistent with the Great Resignation that municipalities have seen across the country, we're experiencing turnover as our workforce transitions to the next generation, and we saw a number of smaller junior awards as a result. In terms of the explanatory text, the town staff, along with the town attorney, have completed the explanatory text. It's been sent out to the printers, who expect it to be mailed out to residents on October 13th, 2025. Every single resident, and by resident I mean home within the community, should be receiving that. Lastly, 2 items that are not on my written report for all of you. First of all, the Fire Department Rescue Weekend. I wanted to recognize the fire chief and the fire department for their hard work. I know they had, I believe, somewhere around 300 attendees and did all kinds of training all over the state. They did an excellent job. I know the chief is back there, and I'm sure he's probably worn out after running around doing all that this last weekend, but wanted to recognize them for that and their good work. And then lastly, I wanted to direct the town council to a memo I sent last week regarding the town's grand list. In that memo, it talks about how to show 1% growth in our grand list, we would need $31 million. Currently, with October 1st quickly approaching, we're really only identified, and this is an estimate, at about $12 million in new assessment. So we are expecting very, very small grand list growth this coming year. I wanted to put that on everybody's radar to be aware of that as we move forward and get closer to the budget season. So I'm sure we'll have more exact information as we move forward, but did want to direct you to that memo to make sure everybody saw it. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Actually, I'll bring up one. September 4th was the employee picnic.
Was it? Oh, sorry, not September, okay.
I know, So one item
Apologies.
I didn't catch, that's okay. Everybody's looking forward to October, I guess.
Yeah.
Counselor Pendleton.
Thank you. I also attended the employee picnic, and I'd just like to say that it was very much a pleasure, after attending for so many years, to see how happy our staff is, and healthy, and enjoying their camaraderie amongst the employees and themselves. It was a wonderful thing, and that just, it touched me. And we have exceptional staff here in our community that are so very nice and so kind. And I know DPW might feel, you know, a little heartbroken over the DPW worker in Enfield. And, you know, our hearts go to the DP worker in Enfield. And I just want to say it was just a pleasure to see our staff, and I just wanted to publicly say thank you from this council to our staff members who do such an acceptable job within our community. And if I could say one more thing, that we all received an email today on this council from our fire chief, who has explained to us that they've had an extremely busy month with various things going on between the Wapping Fair and the training and losing one of their own fellow firefighters that I'd like to mention. And our prayers go out to that family, Mr. Kanya. But I'd like to say too that our fire department has been extremely busy this month. But to read the progress of this weekend's rescue training with folks from 7 states just amazed me, that people come from all over to get the training that we offer here in South Windsor. And it's pretty darn amazing. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Pendleton. Counselor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco, for your report. The great resignation in regards to the employees that we've lost, where can people find the open positions that we have?
Sure. So they are listed on our website when we do have an open position that's open to the public under the Human Resources page.
So HR, it'll be under the HR position, or the HR page on our town website, the positions that are open, okay? So just for our residents, obviously, the great resignation unfortunately doesn't just affect the municipality. People are hurting all over, so please, I wish I had known about town positions when I was much younger. Get involved now. Get involved now if you're able to. The only other question that I had was just in regards to, I know a little bit, but if you could provide just a little bit more clarity, or context probably is a better word, in regards to the grand list memo that you did send to us, just for the public so they can have a better understanding of the difference between the 1% and where we were hoping, as opposed to where we're kind of at now.
Sure. So 1% equals about $31 million worth of value on the grand list. So that doesn't mean that's generated money, that's value. When we talk about the grand list, it's the value of all the properties in the town. And I want to say the total grand list value is somewhere in the tune of $3 or $4 billion, something around that. And we use that number that then generates what revenue we actually would have for our budget. So what we do as the year progresses, we track new construction and new projects that are coming through. And we do have a number of new projects that are slated to actually occur. What we're seeing is developers and individuals are holding off on actually starting them due to interest rates and financial challenges associated with them. So as a result, we've only really seen about $12 million in actual new value come on the grand list, which will produce about a third, we could argue, rough numbers of a percent in new revenue. So, you know, it's something that we need to start watching and be aware of as we get closer and closer to the budget process, because we have 2 parts to our budget process. One is our expenditure side, and the other is our revenue side. So if we all of a sudden have a great year and we're bringing in a significant amount more revenue, our expenditures could potentially be covered by that, and residents wouldn't see as much of a tax increase. Now, if we have a year like this might be shaping up to be, where we have less revenue coming in because we see less grand list growth, we could potentially see that those a tax increase as a result of the expenditures that we do have.
follow up, Madam Mayor, if I could?
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you. So based on that, and I'm sure you've had conversations with your people, you meet with them all the time, have you guys come up with any type of plan as in regards to, okay, guys, if our worst case scenario continues, this is where we might be and what we might need to do?
Sure, so, I mean, really what this is this is a scenario where we would be faced during the budget process time. So of course, we would be coming to all of you with your budget policy statement in terms of looking at what all of you would like to try to accomplish with the budget. That being said, if the revenues are gonna fall short, I would have to probably put a budget together that it has to balance, we don't have a choice. So we would probably have to put something together that would meet those requirements. I mean, as we are right now today, in our budget, we have more than enough money coming in to pay for the expenditures that we have. It's really, the challenge is not today, it's after the next July 1st, so July 1st, 2026, that we're talking about. That's when we have to plan, that's what we're starting to plan for and try to think about. So we just wanted to get this out for all of you to think about as well for when we do get that budget policy statement in front of you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Maniscalco, just for the audience here and people at home, the explanatory text, can you just tell them what that's about?
Sure, so when the town decides that it's gonna have referendum questions, the Connecticut General Statutes allows explanatory text to be drafted and sent out to residents. So that way they are informed as to what they would be potentially voting on. That explanatory text is typically written in conjunction between the town attorney and the town clerk. It gets approved by the SEEC, and it's then sent to the printer and sent out. That text can't be biased, it can't have a political spin, it can't have anything else, it is just the facts, period. So it's a process to get it together, it's very challenging to get it together, and staff, as well as the town attorney, put a lot of work and effort into it. So that is going out shortly, people will see it in their mailbox. It'll have all kinds of stuff because we do have a number of questions on our referendum that's coming up.
I was just gonna say, so residents can expect to get, there's 4, right?
It's one mailer, but
Yeah.
there's
4 referenda?
five
Five.
questions.
5 questions, okay.
4
And-
financial, 1 just the charter.
Oh, okay, the charter is part of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Just to
Counselor
follow up
Pendleton?
to that, does that come out of the town budget? Does that come out of the registrar's budget, the town clerk's budget, our budget, the general government? Where's that come from?
I believe that does come out of the town budget. The exact place it's getting charged, I'd have to get back to you on, but I can email you that.
Okay.
Okay. Anything further? Seeing none. Moving on to item 13I. Okay. Resolution accepting the resignation of Toby Lewis from the South Windsor Town Council. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accepts with regret the resignation of Toby Lewis as a member of the South Windsor Town Council effective September 3rd, 2025. Be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council extends its thanks to Toby Lewis for the time dedicated to serving the community by membership of the South Windsor Town Council in Exhibit D. Do I have a second? Okay, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 13J, Deputy Mayor Carey.
Resolution appointing Steve Cordero to the South Windsor Town Council to replace the unexpired term of Toby Lewis. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Stephen Cordero in accordance with Section 208 of the South Windsor Town Charter to the Town Council effective September 15th, 2025 for a term ending November 10th, 2025. To fill the unexpired term of Toby Lewis, whose resignation was effective September 3rd, 2025, and has been accepted by the South Windsor Town Council. Exhibit E.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're going to have a swearing in of Mr. Cordero by our town clerk, Ms. Armstrong.
Right. Will you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully discharge, according to law, your duties as town councilor for the town of South Windsor to the best of your ability, so help you God? Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Armstrong. Okay. Moving on to item 7, public input for items on the agenda. Public input shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by the mayor, the speaker shall approach the lectern, give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks or impugning or alleging an improper motive to any person. The speakers may address the council on any item on the agenda. The speaker shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Do we have anyone that's already signed up on the form? Or if you haven't, okay, we'll start with this first. Okay. First, we have Kelly Julesen.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Julesen, 47 Homestead Drive, South Windsor. It's nice to see you all tonight. And I'm here this evening to speak about what happened to the Burke family on Niederwerfer Road on July 25th. On that day, their house burned for hours, and in the process, a family who has given so much to this community was let completely down. There are so few things that we can all agree on when it comes to governmental responsibility. But one of those few undeniable things has to be this: fire protection and public safety. On July 25th, the system failed. Mutual aid let us down, and the town, unfortunately, was not prepared. Now, you might say it was an old house. There were many things inside, but let's be honest. It was a challenge with the water over the 3.5 hours that home burned. The 2 mutual aid tankers from Broadbrook, they were down. Firefighters were sent into a situation without the resources they needed, and as a result, a home was lost forever. The impact, of course, did not stop that night. In the days, weeks, and months since, the Burkes have continued to live with the consequences. Immediately after the fire, their wells stopped working, which watered their more than 180 heads of cattle. Just this week, it stopped again. That was because it was actually piped through the house, and so the devastation that the home has felt will continue to impact this family moving forward. There's no chance to rest when you have a farm. It's not just about the home, but the livelihood of a family and the survival of a working farm, something that we've all identified as very important to South Windsor. The Burkes are just the salt of the earth kind of hardworking people. They are farmers, and unfortunately, they are now fighting an incredible uphill battle when this tragedy has struck. They're the ones who are there feeding our families, supporting our local economy. They're committed to supporting and preserving that open space and the heritage in this town. Government's job should be to make their lives easier, not harder, to protect them or abandon them during their times of need. The people of South Windsor have stepped up. Despite protests from the Burkes family themselves, a GoFundMe was started that raised nearly $40,000 to help them rebuild. Dozens upon dozens of volunteers have shown up on the farm to lend their hand, their tools, and their time to make sure that the work can go on and the Burkes can rebuild. The message from the community is clear. We will not let this family fall. This town is invested in their rebuilding because their farm is part of who we are. Here's what's most sobering. The Burkes aren't the last house on Niederwerfer. There are more than 36 homes beyond theirs. What happens when or if the unthinkable happens again? What happens to those families who live at the end of their road? This testimony tonight will not help the Burkes. Their loss is already written. But it can help the rest of the families on Niederwerfer and every resident in our community who deserves to know that when a fire breaks out, the town is ready. So I ask you, what is the plan? How are our firefighters being trained to fight in areas without hydrants or water access? What resources can be put in place? There are some real practical options I hope that you'll consider. Permanent cisterns or dry hydrants along roads like Niederwerfer, pre-established fill sites at ponds, reservoirs, or tanks that tankers can quickly access. Stronger mutual aid protocols with automatic dispatch agreements, regular training and drills that prepare our firefighters for the unique challenges of non-hydrant areas, and also looked for state and federal funding to pay for additional portable tanks, pumps, and tanker trucks. Solutions are possible. What's missing, unfortunately, is the commitment to put them in place immediately. It's been 52 days. I hope that this body will act not just with sympathy for the Burkes, but with urgency for every family and every farm that calls this town home. Farmers shouldn't have to wonder if help will come when fire strikes. Families shouldn't have to pray that the system doesn't fail them, and no one should ever again lose their home or their livelihood because the town is unfortunately unprepared. Please do not let another home be lost. Do not let another farm family suffer the way the Burkes have. This is your responsibility, and I hope that you will act. Thank you.
Okay, Matt Siracusa.
Good evening, everyone. Matt Siracusa, 423 Niederwerfer Road. I'd like to speak on a few agenda items. I was unaware that Mr. Cordero was going to be swearing in, so I'm honored that I was able to be here and witness that. I just want to congratulate you. You've always been a big supporter of not only the town, but also of myself. So I appreciate everything that you've done for me, and I know the town is in good hands with you. I also want to speak on Toby Lewis's resignation. An incredibly kind man, again, always greeted with a smile, known him for over a decade, and I wish him well. The reason I'm really here is I do live on Niederwerfer Road. I witnessed the devastation, and I'm now fearful that I may be next. I know a few of you up here went through active shooter training with me in this room, and I know basically from Counselor Buganski over, we were pretty much told that we were sitting ducks up there. Now I'm at the end of the South Windsor line. I am a sitting duck on our street. Basically there's no access to water where I'm at. By the time they set it up and get going, the house is gonna be gone. And to me, that's unacceptable. I think it's unacceptable for my neighbors, your neighbors. You know, we're all residents of this town, right? But I also think it's unacceptable for the fire department. Those are men and women that have agreed to serve and protect us, and we're not giving them the resources they need to fight a fire on our street. It's not their fault. I know nothing about fighting fires. I know nothing about digging cisterns and ponds and whatever. But what I do know is you need water. So something needs to be done. Sitting up there for many years, I know we've had special meetings, we've passed laws, we've done all sorts of things for, I don't want to say silly things, but these are lives, these are homes, these are animals. Their dog was lost in the fire. This is a very serious topic. And I also sat as the chair of capital projects, and I know the very last action I did was a special meeting to get the baseball building painted and some electrical work done at the baseball field. Again, I think it's great, we approved it, but this is something that's now, it's been 2 months and nothing's been done. I don't know who the chair is. I believe my recommendation was Counselor Buganski. I don't know if that's what it ended up being, but my recommendation is that we listen to the intelligent people that we have in town. We put our heads together, figure out a solution that I don't think is going to be that expensive, and we get some water brought to our street that hopefully no fires will happen, but hopefully our men and women that are gonna be running into our homes aren't going in there empty-handed, right? We want them to be going in there with water resources, and I'd like to come home to somewhat livable house that I can fix. There's been 2 fires on our street in the decade that I've lived on our street. Both have been complete losses. One of them was technically in Broadbrook or East Windsor, whatever it is at the bottom of our street. But again, that's pretty bad odds, right? We're 0 for 2, complete total loss. And I actually was on the other side of the country for both of them. So if I am traveling like I do a lot, and unfortunately if my house does catch on fire, I'd like to know at least that I'm coming home to somewhat of a house, again, that I can repair and get fixed and not come home to sheer devastation and rubble. I also appreciate the change of the title from Burke's Fire to Needle River Road Water or whatever, because from the words of the Burkes, after meeting with them a lot these past couple months, their home is already gone, right? This is a entire street problem now, right? We're all concerned, and I would appreciate that something gets done and something gets done quick, because it shouldn't be too difficult to figure out, but I would really hate for something to happen before we put something in place. Again, for the people that live, I know we're just a few dozen houses, right? But that doesn't matter. We all pay the same amount of taxes. We all deserve the same amount of resources that the rest of the town has. So I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Burke?
My name is Bill Burke. I used to live at 354 Needle River Road in South Windsor until our house burnt down. But anyways, I'm here to discuss numerous things, but one of the topics is the supposed protocol of the South Windsor Fire Department. After the fire, I talked to the mayor and Chief Cooney, and supposedly everything was done according to procedure and protocol. Well, if that is the current protocol that this town has, it really needs to be changed. There's no tankers in the town. Everything, they rely on pumpers. We were 3,000 feet from the nearest hydrant. The fire department refuses to get a tanker. There was no water. They had no water pressure. The tankers weren't available, or the pumpers weren't available. They called Broadbrook for backup. They rely on mutual aid. Broadbrook has 3 tankers. 2 of them were out of service. They sent 1 tanker with 1,000 gallons of water. Handheld nozzles, that's 500 gallons per hose. That's 1 minute of water, and they were out of water. South Windsor does not have any tankers. They don't have any capabilities, very limited. Knowing the closest, they went to the fire hydrant that they did, which was on Chase Farms. There's 2 closer fire hydrants that were to that property at the other end of our property. They were 1,000 feet shorter, and the fire department did not even know they were there. I had to tell them. Then they said they couldn't access them because they were down through our farm. We have an asphalt driveway. You could drive right up through there with your Subaru to get to this thing. And they said they couldn't access it. They could have ran tankers. They could have ran a separate line. I heard through the grapevine that one of the pumpers came and they pulled it off to went to Bourbon Street to another fire. They could have came through the farm, no traffic to deal with, instead of running a hose down Needle River Road with all the crews and whatnot and media and whatnot. They could have got right in there. It would have been a lot quicker response. But they just weren't, there's no protocol prepared. I have no hard feelings with the fire department, the volunteers. They did their best. They came out and they tried, but there was no water. They're standing on my front lawn for numerous times to stand there with no water. There's something wrong, guys. Years ago, they did a study out there. The town of South Windsor Fire Department, numerous years ago, came out there and they ran hoses up to our property line at the Wildlife Sanctuary. They did a drill. They shut the road down. What we want to know is, what was this drill about? Is this common? Did they do this on all the roads? They knew there was a problem out there. They were checking water pressures and whatnot. I talked to Connecticut Water. Connecticut Water tells me point blank, they should have brought their own water. They're relying on public water that is not available. I mean, I'm no public speaker, so you kind of dare with me, but after the fire, I talked to Audrey Dunlecky. I told her, I went to Michelle at the town hall. I told her I'm gonna get 2 tankers, 12,000-gallon water tanks, put them in my driveway. What happens if our barn catches on fire? What happens if one of my neighbor's houses catches on fire? There's nothing that can be done. Nothing's been changed. So I asked Mayor Dunlecky to talk to Chief Cooney, and the response was that the fire department can't just tap into our tanks. Well, how do you know? You've never been out there. You would think somebody would call me up and say, hey, can we come out and look? What do you got? Let's see what we can do. My house is gone, but all of these people still got their houses. I'm willing to sign a permission form. Anybody wants to take the water, let them have it. But the town, they wouldn't even come out. So, I mean, what are we gonna do, guys? We're supplying water to the whole damn street, and the fire department won't even cooperate with us. Somebody's gotta open their eyes here. I mean, there's so much that could be done. How much time I got? I'm going back and forth with my notes, but you kind of get the gist of it. Supposedly they couldn't go down the asphalt driveway through the farm. So what happens if a tobacco shed catches on fire down in the meadows, down on Ferry Lane or down on Strong Road? How do they get to it? They say they can't go on our asphalt, but they can go on some dirt driveway down there with no hydrants, with no tankers, same scenario. I mean, I don't know how they expect to fight them. You're spending millions of dollars on these fancy trucks, but you have no water? Any one of you, go on the internet and Google the #1 thing that you need to fight a fire, that a fire department needs. Do a survey, get a 5th grade class. Water. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Okay, Mary Ann Lannon?
Close.
Mary
Right church, wrong pew.
Mary Beth.
Yes, Mary Beth Lannon. I live at 369 Niederwoofer, here in downtown South Windsor, diagonally across the street from where the Burks used to live. Couple of things I want to just share some thoughts with you. And also, as you have well articulated, the training that the South Windsor Fire Department has invested your time to keep us safe and to stay sharp.
Mrs. Lannon, excuse me, yeah, you need
I just want to thank you as a citizen to the South Windsor Fire Department. Thank you for investing your time to help keep us safe, first and foremost. Let it be known that my father was chief of police in Manchester, Connecticut. And so I do understand a little bit, a dash more than the average bear, if you will, about public servant and what that really, the essence of that, what that means. So when I lived under my parents' roof, we grew up in Bolton. We lived in I would call it a lightning rod that served us as a house, meaning that we were often getting hit by lightning, the house, just where it was oriented high up. So I share those concerns today too, especially given what happened with the Burks. So lightning does strike more than once, which is an important thing I think we all need to just be cognizant of. It's an unfortunate set of circumstances that we all find ourselves with having to work our way through. But I think it's important as well that we recognize that the Burks lost far more than their house. Brittany lost her emotional support dog, and the cats, and the this and the that. So that just, the cat lover in me really just aches for her. The thing that I would like to really understand a little bit better is the plan, because I know Mayor Delnicki, when we were down at the Burks, I'm gonna call it the ice cream bar, that's what I go there for. When we were down there speaking a few weeks back, it was brought up about a plan or a partnership with certain alliances, whether that be area farms or a large reservoir or something like that. And I see that as more of an interim solution versus a longer term, which I, as a resident on 369 Niederwürfer Road, would appreciate having a longer term solution put in place. And I think that there is something to be revisited between towns that we share resources with. If a vehicle is out of, or an emergency vehicle or two are out of service, I think there should be some type of communication across area towns to have it be known, just in case there's a fire. Unfortunately, there's a fire or something like that. I think a little bit more of a connectivity would serve us all well. And then, how much does a new truck cost? Because I'm ready to have a bake sale. I mean, I'm being funny, or I'm trying to be funny, but I mean that in all sincerity. How much does a new truck cost that would provide us with what we need in the unfortunate set of circumstances if they were to occur again?
This is part of the agenda where we don't respond to questions.
Oh,
This
all
is
right.
where we get your input.
Okay, so I want to know, when you can, at some point, understand what that looks like, because then and only then can we really start to work and say, how can we work the numbers? What do we need to do in order to make that a reality? Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Bob Mikulak?
Hello, Bob Mikulak, 465 Niederwürfer Road. I'm here, I think, with a lot of my neighbors and everyone that spoke before me. I mean, there's not much else to say, but I think we're all here to plead with you to help get water on our street. There's nothing else that needs to be said. We got to figure it out, and you all are in the position to do that, and we appreciate it. So hopefully we can avoid another tragedy. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that didn't sign up yet that would like to speak at this time? Okay, seeing none, I have an email that I received from Bob and Dale Willard that I'll read since they're out of town right now. As a result of the fire at the Burke home, it was illustrated that there was insufficient water available to fight the fire. There is a hydrant at each end of the street, with the street being 1.5 miles long, making it necessary to use great lengths of hose to move water to the scene of the fire. Due to the law of physics, the longer the distance between the hydrant and the fire being fought, the lower the pressure of water being delivered. The result of the majority of the homes on Niederwürfer Road lack effective access to water from those hydrants, as demonstrated during the Burke home fire. We are dependent on water being trucked in from surrounding towns, with the inevitable delay and inefficiencies involved, resulting in interruptions in the availability of water at the scene. This in no way faults the efforts of the firefighters from the towns involved. These delays simply can't be avoided. In addition, dependence on other towns for water supply assumes these resources are available. Like when you call for 3 tankers from another town and 2 are down and only 1 was available. Or watching from your home as a tanker from a different town went to fill up. He came back and was being blocked by other trucks that had parked on the road. He had to sit and wait for the trucks to be moved to continue to the fire with water. 8 years ago, our street was shut down by the fire department. They laid hose from the hydrant to beyond the wildlife sanctuary to see how much pressure and flow was available to fight a fire on our street, and we were told at the time the results were dismal. We would be interested in seeing documented conclusions resulting from that study. Don't know why something wasn't done then and not wait until a home burned down. We understand the balloon construction of an older home makes it more vulnerable, and we're told that newer homes wouldn't burn like that. We won't argue that, but as Chief Cooney told us, every fire is different. We asked the town council, how do we resolve the situation, whether it be a pond, holding tanks, cisterns, or any other engineered water delivery method that can be devised to protect our homes, providing us with the same fire protection other neighborhoods in town with hydrants depend on. We pay the same taxes as the rest of the town, and though we don't have water, sewers, curbs, or sidewalks, basic fire protection is a must. Thank you, and they are located at 410 Niederwoofer Road. Okay. And seeing no other further items for public input, moving on to, okay, we skip over item 8. Moving on to item 9, communications from liaisons, officers, boards directly responsible to the council. Anyone have something? Councilor Carey.
I attended the open space meeting last Monday, and they elected their new officers. They actually elected everyone that was a current officer as a new officer. I also attended the planning and zoning meeting last Tuesday. And one of the topics that was discussed, there was a public hearing and then there was also a discussion, was the changing of land from RR to A20, which would allow 4 houses instead of 3 houses. And it was an interesting discussion because the question to the builder was, well, could you build with 3 houses and still make a go of it? Because the concern that came up is, and this was from planning and zoning, but I'm just repeating, since 1993, I guess a lot of these little things have been changed in town. And, you know, people are complaining about how much development we have in town. And so the question was, you know, should we be doing this? At the end, it was approved to go to the new zoning, so there will be 4 houses, and it will be contiguous with the development that it's next to. But it was a 4-3 split on the decision. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else for item 10 or item 9? Okay, seeing none, moving on to item 10, reports from committees. Okay, having none, moving on to consent agenda. 11A, Councilor, having no first readings. So 11B1, Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I make a motion to approve 11B1 as the second reading on the consent agenda.
Resolution appointing.
Yep, no, I know. Sorry, I'm just, oh, I'm sorry. I was just getting confused with the A. Resolution appointing Adam Owenby to the Library Board of Directors to replace the unexpired term of Marcia Andrews. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Adam Owenby as a member of the Library Board for a term ending November 30th, 2027 to replace the unexpired term of Marcia Andrews.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Councilor Pendleton?
That should be stated as 11B1, not 11BA. Correct?
Okay, it does say 11B1. I think the A is the word before the word resolution. I think that's what's that.
Okay.
Through Councilor Fitzgerald.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I think we took the vote, right? Yes. Motion carries. Moving on to 11C. We didn't vote? No, it was discussion. All right, thank you. All those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 11C, miscellaneous, having none. Item 12, unfinished business, having none. Moving on to 13A, discussion item, amendments to ordinance number 170, local exemption from real property tax for qualified farm buildings, Exhibit A, and Mary Huda, our assessor, is here to present.
Good evening, Mayor and esteemed council members. I understand that there are some questions with regard to the existing local ordinance that we have for farm buildings, as well as the potential for adding a local ordinance for exemption of farm machinery. So I believe in your packets you have the current language as well as some proposed language, and I would entertain any questions that you may have.
Anyone? Councilor Pendleton.
At our last meeting, it was, thank you for being here to try to explain this to us. And at our last meeting, it was asked or brought up about horses, specifically horses and the value of horses. And I don't know if that's in this or not in this or part of this or adding to this or.
Okay, so the current local options that we have, or the option that we have in front of you tonight, is for farm outbuildings, as well as an additional local option that would exempt farm machinery, horses and ponies, up to a certain amount, right? The state gives a current exemption on farm machinery, horses and ponies that is actually increasing this year to $250,000 worth of value. I believe the discussion was, did the council feel that they wanted to enact something on the local level above and beyond that, as well as change the cap on the real estate, which would be the outbuildings. The current cap is $100,000. I believe state legislation allows it, or recently enacted, that you could go up to $500,000. So the horses and ponies are included in the second local option, not what we have existing for the buildings.
Are you saying horses and buggies?
Ponies.
Ponies, okay, I was like, what's that?
Buggies too. You know,
Ponies,
we'll
sorry,
throw those in.
sorry, okay.
Right, so just to be clear, the section A is the existing, that you could change the assessed value cap of. Section B, it would be the new part of the local option.
May I please continue? Just
Sure.
thanks. How many in-town farms now actually use this exemption?
For the outbuildings, there are currently 19 real estate parcels.
19 parcels?
Yes.
And are there any that use it for the farm equipment?
Yes. I believe there are 23 accounts as of the October 1, 2024 grant list.
Okay, that's the equipment. And are there any now that are using it for the horses and ponies?
Correct. Anybody who declares a horse or a pony is exempt under current state statute.
Do you have a number?
A number?
I don't have that number handy. I didn't think that was part of the current local option discussion.
But we can make it part of the local option. Sorry.
No, go ahead. It's discussion, go ahead.
We can make it part of it, or would we have to change?
You can, but it's not what you have in front of you this evening.
Okay.
Is it is that proposed changed in B?
B is simply increasing or adding to, right? So it's a little confusing because the state exempts, as of the October 1, 2024 grant list, the state exempts up to $100,000 in value.
Great.
The state is now changing their cap, effective with this current grant list year, to $250,000 in value. What this ordinance would enact for farm machinery, horses, and ponies would be anything above and beyond that $250,000 that this local council wished to enact.
And our local writing is where in this document?
I'm sorry,
Our local exemption is where in this document?
A is for the outbuildings.
Oh, last page, thank you. That's what I was asking, okay.
B would be the new section that would be for farm machinery.
Okay, may I?
You hope so. It's conversation, discussion.
Okay, currently it says 100, I get that.
Correct.
And the state says it's increased to 250, or
Well,
what's
let's
this?
do one at a time. Let's do the real estate and the farm outbuildings,
Yeah.
right? Because that's the one that you currently have in place.
Is the
That
100,
currently reads 100,000.
okay.
The enabling state legislation says you can move that number, you can keep it at 100,000, or you can move that number anywhere between 100,000 and 500,000.
Okay.
Okay? That's for outbuildings.
That's where the okay,
Yes.
okay.
So may I just, so the 19 parcels and 23 equipment, the 23 equipment is in the 19 parcels?
Some of them overlap, right? Some of them have outbuildings. If you have
Okay.
a tobacco
Okay.
shed or a silo or somewhere you store your equipment, you could have both a farm building, outbuilding exemption on the local level, and you could have what is currently the state exemption.
Okay. This is really confusing.
I know.
It's really, I wish we had a chart. I wish we had a chart that shows your state exemption, our exemption, farm equipment, parcels, ponies, like what can we do on our side? It's just very confusing to me, what I'm trying to understand right now. And if anybody on this council can understand this, help me out. Go ahead.
It's more.
Counselor Willett?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So it's more just to clarify what's in here. So I want to make sure I'm talking about, there are a total of 23 farms that are covered now, or that would be covered if we moved it to 250. Is that correct? So we have-
There are 23 personal, you're actually dealing with real estate and personal property. So there's 23 personal property accounts that currently get the state exemption for farm machinery.
Okay. And just above it, in the email, it shows of the 19 current applicants, are all of those 19 current applicants in that pool of 23? Are we talking about
I'm going
the
to go
same
out on a limb and
population?
say yes.
Okay.
For the most part, right? There might be one or two that have farm machinery that don't have an outbuilding.
Okay. That's where I'm confused. Yeah, it is a little bit apples and oranges. I'm looking at current applicants, and then
Right,
it's
so
using the
let's-
term farm, so.
Let's, if we might, let's take the real estate portion, right? Because I think that's the ordinance that you have existing. That's the one that you could simply change the amount if you were so inclined, okay?
And that's the one that's 100.
That's the one that's currently 100, correct. Up to 500,000 of assessed value, all right, or any number in between. The second portion is the personal property, and that's where the state already allows for an exemption. That's where we have the change to the 250 this year. You also have been asked to add a local option, which would then give anything above and beyond the 250.
So we don't currently have a local option for that one?
You do not.
Okay.
Right, that's the new language in 90-10, Section B.
Okay. We currently have the farm buildings, but do not have the option for the equipment. Okay.
Right, you do not have the local.
Okay.
Not to confuse the issue further, Mike loves this. There are two parcels that would be over the current $100,000 exemption for outbuildings. There's only one personal property account that would be over the state's new 250. So I don't know if that helps you.
That's why
or
we're
doesn't help you.
That's the reason why we're here. Because we have people that are over, if I'm understanding at this point correctly.
Correct.
If they're over the 250, we can go up to 250. If we-
For the local.
Right.
Above and beyond what the state already mandates that you grant. 2 real estate, 1 personal property, total of 3, correct?
Right. So, through you, Madam Mayor.
If you understand it, Mr.
No,
Counselor
well,
King.
I believe I do, but I guess my question would be, so if someone, again, I believe I do, I don't own any horses, I don't have a farm. However, if a person decides that they want to buy a horse and then list it under their personal property, they could do that and then be exempt.
Correct.
But they have to
They
fill
have
out
to-
a form.
They have to
Well,
declare, and they have to
Yeah,
request
but
the
technically,
exemption.
if we raise it, then they're going to get the exemption. So I need to go buy a horse.
No, but you have to fill out the form to get it. You just don't automatically get it. You have to go
Well,
in
no,
and
because
declare-
that's, right, but that's what we're talking about. That's why the gentleman came, because he wanted that extra exemption. Unless I'm misunderstanding what we were talking about last time, which led to this.
Am I correct? Horses are already exempt.
As long as they're declared, and
As
the
long as
claim
they're
for the
declared.
exemption is filed.
So it's not
So
an
I think the
automatic.
request is to have them exempt without a declaration
Right. but
occurring.
That came
Which-
up after this ordinance was
After,
proposed.
correct.
So that's another,
So that's different.
Right.
Okay. It has nothing to do with value, it has the.
He just doesn't want to, to declare it.
To declare it, correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead, Counselor.
This came up after this
Well, that's what the request was
is
by
to,
the gentleman during the last meeting.
go on.
The meeting prior to that, the request was to enact to change the ordinance to meet what the state statute is, which is for the outbuildings and personal property.
Okay.
Value.
I see. Because he had like 14 horses too, right?
The original discussion, I believe, because we had time to put together the draft of the ordinance, was the two local options.
Hold on, Mary, I have to call the
Oh,
public
I
hearing.
knew that. Okay, that's fine.
So I'll have to suspend the regular meeting and call the public hearing to order. The public hearing is to receive citizen input on the proposed changes to ordinance number 199, ordinance regarding lease referendum. Ms. Senrith, if you can please read the public notice.
To be published in the Journal Enquirer, September 5th, 2025, legal ad, Town of South Windsor. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby sets Monday, September 15th, 2025, at 8 p.m. in the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Ave, South Windsor, Connecticut, as the time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on amendments to Ordinance 199, ordinance regarding lease referendum, dated at South Windsor, Connecticut, this third day of September 2025, attested to by Catherine Senrith, Executive Assistant.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to come forward to speak to the council during this public hearing regarding changes to ordinance number 199? Is there anyone who would like to come forward at this time? Going once. Okay. Twice. All right. No one at this time. We'll close the public hearing. And we'll take a straw poll. This is a straw poll, not a scientific poll. And those who are in favor of changes to ordinance number 199, please raise your hand if you are in favor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7? Okay. 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 9. Okay, we have 9. Okay, 9 in favor. Those opposed? Okay. Seeing none? Okay. Since the public hearing is closed, thank you, and we will now resume our regular meeting. Ms. Huda, if you'd like to come back up. Got you off your feet for a minute. And where we were on our discussion, I think it was the horses. Are you all set, Councilor King?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, because Deputy Mayor Carey?
Okay, so Mary, I apologize, but I just want to make sure I have this straight. So
Nope, I
let's
understand.
just do the real property first.
Sure.
Today, we have 23 farms that.
We have
get-
19
Oh, we have 19
parcels.
parcels that get a $100,000 exemption on their farm outbuildings.
Correct.
Okay, and so the way this has changed, as a local option, we can go from giving a $100,000 exemption to giving a $250,000 or up to $500,000.
That is also correct. Right, the
Okay.
state has passed legislation that allows you to make that change.
Okay, so the question then is, do we want to move from 100,000 to some other number between 100 and 500?
Correct.
Okay. And then on the on the farm equipment, right? Currently, we have a local option where we allow 100,000, or we don't do
We
anything.
do not currently have any local option with farm machinery.
Okay, so,
We give what the state mandates.
okay,
And again, that's going to cover all the farm machinery in town when it gets raised to the 250,000, except for one account.
okay. So the state has come out and said, if you want to, as a local option, you can have up to 250,000 on farm equipment. Okay. So,
Can I just clarify one thing before you move
Yeah.
on? But right now, we don't have that local option.
You do not have a
For that.
local option for
Okay.
farm machinery.
Okay.
We'll leave it
So
at
we
that.
can do anywhere from
Right.
100 to the 250. Okay, right.
You can, no. You
I'm
can do,
sorry.
that's okay. You can do up to, if you look at the note, I think you can do up to, yes, I'm sorry, 100,000 to 250.
Okay, so since we don't have it, we can do anywhere from 100 to 250.
Correct.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
So the state typically passes enabling, not to muddy the waters any further, but the state typically enacts enabling legislation for anything that they give as a state exemption, right? You're required to do this, but we give the towns the authority to do anything extra that they want to do. Whether that's, PA 490, whether that's firefighters, whether that's the elderly, additional veterans, right? Pretty much every state statute comes with some sort of a local option that this council could consider. You have one portion of this, you're being asked to consider the second one.
okay. So when we think about this, and we had the farmer 2 meetings ago, because I apologize, I was away for last meeting, who came and spoke to us about the farm equipment. And so we know that in town, that people want farms, and that farmers are struggling. And we want farms because, it's part of what makes South Windsor what it is. By the same token, we have to balance it because we know that if we add an exemption, that will impact other people, because when we go to do the budget, we have to find that money somewhere, and according to the town manager, Mr. Maniscalco, right now, we're not seeing much lift in our grant list. I think we should do something. I do think that we have to acknowledge that farmers have options. They don't have to farm their land. And we know that farmers are struggling, right? And if they don't farm their land and they decide to sell it, that brings all kinds of other issues to the table. So, maybe what we can do is come up with a number that works to help our farmers without too badly impacting the town.
Councilor Willett?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Do we have if we went all in, deep end of the pool, we go up to the 500, and then we do the 250 on the farm equipment exemption, what would the impact to the grand list be?
You would lose about $350,000 of assessed value as of last year's grand list. All right, so obviously I can't predict nor anyone here any new development, but the existing grand list, you would lose about $350,000.
That's the 19 current applicants and then the 23 that we don't currently have an exemption for.
Beyond the state, correct.
Right.
Because there's only one that's over and above what will be the max.
Okay. And that's just the grand list loss, right? That's not a tax revenue loss.
That's correct. That's an assessed value loss.
Okay.
Councilor Baganski?
Well, Councilor Roulette stole my thunder, but just one clarification, I guess.
Sure.
The assessed value, that's an aggregated value, right? It's not a per item, like each John Deere tractor is, if it's
Well,
under 250,000, it
The
gets.
250 is, right, is
everything
just
gets added
within that
together.
code of farm machinery,
Yeah.
right? It's all
Okay.
their farm machinery, the tractors, anything that's not registered as a motor
Right,
vehicle.
just all
Yes.
gets added together and.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
all right, that's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Pendleton?
Thank you. So the farmer would have to claim every year, right?
Correct.
Make whatever you call the claim every year. And is this on per piece of equipment or total equipment?
The total.
Total equipment. So they could have 10 tractors and they could get up to $250,000 to $500,000 exemption on all that. Okay. How do you know they're farming? Do they say they're farming, or they just buy it and put it on how do you know they're farming?
Well, in some towns, there's a, you have to have a Schedule F that's attached to your exemption form. We do vet the farms. There's farmland classification, there's farm exemptions, there's lots of things that we look at and go through to make sure that people are engaged
Actually
in
farming?
farming activity, yes. And it's exclusively used in farming activity.
Okay. So, and then there's the PA 490 or whatever it is that you have to have the Public Act with that to become a farmer. But if it's land that's just sitting there and you own tractors and you're not actively farming and it's open space or it's pine trees.
You wouldn't qualify for a farm exemption. And we
farm.
don't have open space in South Windsor.
Okay, a farm exemption. We wouldn't be open space, but it's a farm exemption.
Correct.
But you could have Christmas trees. You could have.
That's agriculture, that's a farming activity.
Okay, okay.
We get a lot of support from like Department of Agriculture, the Farm Bureau. They're very
Right,
helpful if
right.
we have questions about what is farming and what
Right.
is it.
No, I clearly want to understand this. I have nothing against farming, trust me, because I was a farm girl in this town growing up. And I'm looking right over there at the town of South Windsor and tobacco farming, right there in the middle of the leaves. I support farmers wholeheartedly. I just want to understand this completely. And the reason I want to understand this completely is because I know that there are other exemptions out there, as you have mentioned, and one of them being veterans and senior citizens and things like that. So I want to make sure that if the state has upped the ante a little bit, and we can go up the ante a little bit, and this is very similar, correct, to like we would do for veterans, and we could go up and, okay.
Correct.
So
Anything over and above what the state already mandates.
we can do.
You can do.
Right, okay. So I want to understand this. So I think, with understanding this and right now, or did you ask with 500,000, Councilor Ouellette, did you ask 500,000 what the impact would be?
It would be if we went max on both,
Yeah,
then it would be $350,000 assessed value loss
okay,
total,
okay,
right?
Correct.
total. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay.
I'm sorry. Do we have a resolution tonight on this to increase it? No, okay, thank
Have
you.
a public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And nothing further? Council, Deputy Mayor, you have a question?
No. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay. I think we're all set. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Okay, we postponed 13B to the next meeting, so 13C, I made the wrong, our clerk, if you make aware that I did, during our adoption of the agenda, I did say 13D. It should have been 13C for this discussion item, that I changed to Niederwoofer Road Water Supply. And we have our Director of Public Works here, Mr. Stetson. If there's...
Good evening, Madam Mayor and fellow councilors. How are we doing?
Good afternoon, or good evening. So, we've heard some of the comments tonight, and some of these alternatives are what I brought forward when I did meet with the folks at the farm. And I know when we had Connecticut Water here in regards to item number 1 on your memo, and great job on putting this together. I know you worked with several of the departments, our planning department and engineering, to put a lot of this information together. The estimated cost of $4 million, is that what Connecticut Water would is it 4 or is it more than 4 million? Isn't it like 4, 4.4? I mean,
That's an approximate estimate that was provided by Connecticut Water.
okay. And that would go from, I think, if I remember from our conversation, was from Chase Farm down to the end of Niederwiffer,
Correct.
okay? And that would be, the cost for that could be absorbed by the individual property owners on that street. Am I correct, or I'm?
In this instance, if you were to elect to install water main down the road, the town taxpayers would, excuse me. In this instance, if the town were to elect to install water main down Niederwiffer Road, the town taxpayers would be picking up the lion's share of the cost.
Okay.
Any resident on Niederwiffer, if they would want to connect to the water main, they would then have to pay the connection fee.
Can I just jump in, Madam Mayor, just to
Sure.
add a little light to that? So I think when.
Yeah, I might have missed.
That's okay. So I think when we expand water lines, that's overseen by the Public Utility Regulatory Authority, PURA. And they very clearly have some directions that they make water companies follow. Fortunately or unfortunately, in a previous position, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of water companies and felt a lot of the challenges associated with this. So PURA requires water companies to actually have the customers on that line pay for the expansion. So you can't actually do an expansion until there's customers on that line to pay. And then at the same time, a water company will say to you, that being said, if the town wants to step up and pay for the actual expansion, the town can pay for it. In which case, that means the 27,000 residents in town would pay for the expansion. Additionally, if any of the residents at that water line goes in front of, there's an additional charge for actually connecting. Those additional charges can be pretty steep, to be very frank, and they would cost even more. Those are called beneficial assessments, and essentially what you're then paying for is for the water company's expansion that happened way down the line previous to. So there's a couple different parts to that expansion. So the number that we were given when we met with Connecticut Water, I believe was somewhere between 4.4 or something around that, $1 million. So that has to either be borne by the residents on the road or the town. It's not that the water company is legally not allowed to actually pay for that expansion.
Okay.
For example, we're going through this process on Chapel Road right now. If you guys recall, we wanted to go and widen the road. The residents reached out, said, why don't you guys install water main down the road prior to doing the work? So we engaged with MDC. They went and surveyed the neighborhood, and they're going through that process right now to see if the 50 some odd residents want to tie into the water main, and does the project make sense?
And the residents on that road would be the ones bearing the cost, correct?
So in this instance, they would be bearing the cost of the connection fee on MDC.
Yep.
And then all the MDC ratepayers in town, their rates would go up until the project was paid off over time.
Okay. Do we know how long that is, the process of?
The MDC
payoff?
process can take about a year or two, depending upon, public engagement and how long their process plays out.
I think you were interested in the payoff time. That I don't know.
Okay.
And that's probably based on whatever the water company and PURA come to an agreement on.
It's like when we bond, we can have 20 years.
Right.
Or,
I'm gonna guess it's probably 20 years, maybe, if you're lucky. I don't know.
okay, all right. Let's figure I'd throw that question out. Okay, item 2.
Wait, can we?
Counselor Pendleton?
We have questions?
Oh, Counselor Baganski?
Yeah, I just had a
Oh, sorry.
question on item one. Just to set, I guess not expectations, but just for understanding, if Connecticut Water broke ground tomorrow on the water main, how long would that project take, just to install hydrants? Now, we're not talking about private connections, just to do roughly.
It would be reasonable if money wasn't an object, that they could probably have that installed within a year.
Okay. Just so people understand what kind of timeline would be. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Pendleton?
I heard capital projects mentioned earlier this evening. I'm on capital projects, I've been on for a very long time. Why has water, public water down our roads never been an issue for capital, or have been brought to capital projects as a project within our community before? Why hasn't that ever come up?
So typically within most communities in the state, water essentially is brought throughout communities organically as it's asked for and needed. So mostly due to the fact that there are these requirements from PURA that require the people on those lines to pay for it. I can tell you my personal situation, I actually ran a water line to my own personal house so that way I could be on public water. I am paying a significant amount of money to actually be able to do that. So that's what people, you know, I think water systems throughout the state of Connecticut grow that way. If it was the desire of the town to want, I think we did some digging and figured out there's about 19 areas within the community that don't have, I think it was about 2,000 feet, that are about 2,000 feet or more from a fire hydrant. If we wanted to serve those areas with water and it was the desire of the community to be able to do that, we could certainly engage both MDC and Connecticut Water, because our community is split as their exclusive service areas. We could engage them in getting us estimates for what that would do and what that would cost. I'm gonna guess that number's pretty big. And I would just caution the council as well as other bodies within the community that by putting public water in every part of our community, you can have other consequences come along with that. You know, for example, development. You could see development types change because you put water in certain areas. You could see the desire to put more industrial in certain areas because now all of a sudden there's access to more utilities and things. So it can have two sides to it, and we just need to be aware of that and make the appropriate decisions. So
I think also out there, and I'm not sure about this, maybe someone can answer it for me. When there is public water that goes down the street, that household has to give up their well. They can no longer, they have to hook up to city water. They have to give up their well.
Well, it depends on the process. So if there's a consent order from the Department of Public Health because wells in that area are not suitable for drinking, then yes, that is true.
Okay.
There are some instances where that might not be the case, but that is a possibility. Let's put it that way.
Because I have a well and water goes in front of my house.
And you've kept your well?
Correct.
I have one
Good.
too.
Happy to hear it. Good. Okay. So it is kind of, it's not an option. I guess it could be an option. It's a huge option, as you mentioned. But if you look at the certain areas within our community, because there is 19 areas that don't have public water, that's a big number. Like to go out there and get a big, I'm cringing on the debt services as if we were to go out there and to get a large number to bond it, to maybe work with the water companies. Maybe they can pay half, maybe we can bond half. I don't know. That's a big number. I'm sure it would be. Maybe that's something we can look into, Mr. Maniscalco.
Just looking, let's just say every expansion was $4 million, just
Okay.
for argument's sake, right?
Yeah.
We're talking $76 million And the water companies are not allowed to pay that amount.
They can't even pay half? They can't work with
No,
us?
that's not allowed by Pura. Like,
Okay.
they're not allowed to pay.
So we have to pick up the tab?
It's either the residents would have to pay for it on that street, or the town would have to pay for it.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
What was that dollar amount again, 76?
That's just, I
I
mean,
know.
that's a really rough estimate,
Right.
because we're gonna estimate that it's 4 million for every expansion. I mean, I'm gonna guess there's probably reasons why there's not water in those 19 different areas, whether it's quantity or quality or
Resident's
access
choice
or
or- yeah.
resident choice or whatever it may be. There's probably all kinds of other hurdles that probably have to be overcome. But if we were to argue that it was $4 million for each location, that's $76 million to do all 19.
Okay, Counselor Willett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is maybe a question for both Vince and you, Mike. In the town of South Windsor, has the town historically funded any water expansions here? And then the second half of the question is, to your awareness, are there other towns which have done this? And if so, mechanically or structurally, how did they do that? Financially, how did they manage that?
So I would say we did one capital project that expanded a water line to the Mitchell Fairground because we needed water at the fairground for public use. I'm not aware of an expansion that really, and there was actually, I take back the unaware, there is a residence and business along that water line that also connected, that also participated in that expansion. But outside of that, I'm not aware of any others.
Historically, in 1970, the town was mandated to extend water main down Strong Road due to the leachate plume that was generated from the landfill at Burgess Road.
Okay. And do we know about other towns, how they've, if they or how they've managed this?
So my personal experience with water expansions is typically driven by a public health issue. So what you'll see happen is people's wells are now contaminated, whether it's with heavy metals or chemicals or whatever it may be. That is then driven and funded typically by both the state and federal levels for those expansions through the town, with the town being a partner in that process.
And would there be any potential federal or state funds that could help us with this?
Not unless there's an identified public health issue.
Counselor King?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate, Mr. Stetson, what you gave us in this memo, and I'm more focused right now on the evaluation and conclusions. I recognize that we can go point by point and figure it out. However, your evaluation conclusions, and I'm sure you didn't do in a vacuum, suggests that, and I'm kind of looking at this when I was working with the WPCA, at the time, the stink could only be smelled on Main Street. But we knew if we didn't do anything, eventually that odor would, come to other parts of the town. So I appreciate the fact of the focus right now, although unfortunate, is on Niederwerfer Road. However, I guess my question would be, based on your evaluation and conclusion, you said investment in any of the above alternatives should be considered as proactive, which I'm thankful that you said that as well. I think it was spoken of by several members of our community that, okay, you know what, we haven't done anything yet, it's been 52 days, so on and so forth, what can we do now, right? And so you're saying it's as a proactive infrastructure. And I do agree with the fact that while the situation happened on one street, we do have to consider everyone, even if we split up the costs. That being said, my first thing was to say, all right, well, why don't we just get another truck and make sure that we have the water on hand. I see it says the estimated cost is $1 million. I also see what your cons are, in terms of the expense. I also want to say that I agree earlier, as I was taking notes, that if we do this on a regional level, I don't think the word regional was used, but I'll use that word, that we do need to set up some type of communication that's outside of your purview, per se. I think that's a great idea, that, yes, there should be a red flag. If this happens, we need to know. But obviously, certain things only happen, and I don't want to go on a diatribe, you only know what you know when something happens. That said, and I guess there's two questions, actually. One, is there a way to go to get federal funds for anything surrounding this concern? For example, through our state senator or through our state rep. I don't know if anybody's had that conversation. It sounds like you want to put it on the town, which is fine, but one thing that residents sometimes forget is that's why you elect a state rep and a state senator to handle this at that level. So my question would be, did anybody have that conversation with them?
Sure, there's been some surface level conversation about possible bonding requests, things like that from the state. I don't think you would get anything for a truck from the state, you know.
I just said that just now.
Yeah,
I mean,
you may have a slightly better chance at getting something for a water expansion, but I don't know if the conversation really was more without having a public health issue associated with it. It's going to be it's a long shot.
Okay, copy that. So that was my first piece. The second piece would be, and I know you said if money wasn't an issue, but we know that it is. And I know we have the chief here as well that can speak a lot more eloquently to this point. Is that even feasible? I see the cons, the capital expense, maintenance, all those types of things, but would that be the quickest, if something else were to happen on the road, fix? I'm asking. Oh, my fault, Chief. He was in the back before.
Good evening. So I'm not a fan, as a fire chief or as a taxpayer, that a tanker's the answer.
Copy that.
We carry over 5,000 gallons of water on our current fleet. We have a great mutual aid system. We have a great training program. Every fire is different, as I was quoted earlier. I'm very confident that should another fire arise, we would do our best, and any additional tankers are not going to necessarily make a big difference. We used over 60,000 gallons of water just from very rough estimates for a short period of time. One tanker with 2,000 or 3,000 gallons is not going to make or break the bank as far as the water goes. I'm not a fan of getting a tanker at this point for our town. That was 19 streets. In the totality of our town is a very small percentage. And I don't have the numbers, but I can tell you we've had fires in those other areas without any issues. With our own current systems that we do, with our own water that we carry, with the hydrants that we do use, just like this recent fire, we were able to manage it. Fires are dangerous. Houses burned down. Since that fire, we've had a number of fires in this area that have been the same loss, with hydrants, with tankers, with everything else. Unfortunately, I feel bad for the Burke family. Fires are terrible. They're devastating, and they happen all the time. And they've happened since that fire with every kind of water source you can think of, whether it be hydrants in career departments, whether it be tankers. Fires happen, and unfortunately, you know, it's a sad situation. That's what our business is, to try and prevent it as best we can, but we can't stop every fire from happening. We can't put out every fire before the devastation. Our life safety is always a priority. That changes the operations of any fire department. So I'm just not in the concept of a tanker would help us at all at this point.
Thank you, Chief. Just a quick follow-up through you, Madam Mayor. And this is something I thought about with all of the different fires that were happening in California and all those things. And very unfortunate situation. However, I see that even on number 5, it says installation of a dry fire hydrant and associated water source. I remember in California, a whole bunch of information was brought up at that time with asking the question, why couldn't we take water from the oceans that were right next to the state of California and get rid of all those fires? So as I'm looking at number 5, would that be a similar situation where we're taking water from another place that may not be, what's the word I'm looking for? That may not be Is that the same, would that be the same type of scenario where?
Well, I can't answer the ocean because that's not our purview, but
Okay,
we have
okay.
used other water means such as ponds and lakes to draft from. We have that ability, that is part of our training. So in the event we go to a fire and there's no normal public water supply available, such as hydrants, we do have the ability to draft from public water. If it's close by, if our apparatus can get to it.
Councilor Carey, Deputy Mayor Carey, pardon.
That's okay. We have somebody in the back with raising their hand.
But I called on you.
Okay, okay. So my question was, it's my understanding, and I might be wrong, that we set up a protocol now that if we get a fire call from this neighborhood, that we immediately call for the tankers if it's a fire call?
We've had a protocol similar to that
Okay.
all along. We've trained for years, so those nights how we've identified those small percentages of areas in town where our normal hydrant distance is further away. That's a common thing. That's our incident commanders are trained to know that, so they would call in additional help prior to a normal response from those additional responses.
Okay. So we're doing that for all these
Yes.
areas that,
And we've done that in the past. And
okay.
Unfortunately, every fire is different, and I'll leave it at that.
Councilor Fitzgerald?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, not so much in terms of these options, but the mutual aid agreements that you have with other towns, is there a system, I think someone had mentioned it earlier, where, like, you know, Broadbrook has 3 tankers and 2 of them are down, like, can you guys see that information, or is it, like, in advance? Like, would you know and be able to call a different department, or does it not work that way?
Technically, no. We have great relationships with most of the surrounding towns and most of our mutual aid partners. This was a hiccup. This was a one-off that they didn't notify us. We weren't aware of it. In normal everyday practices, when we have a truck down, we notify the other departments. When there's a specialty truck down, or in this case, 2 trucks down, normally that would be done. It was just a one-off. It's not a breakdown in communications. It's not a problem. It's just a one-off. Unfortunately, that one day, the stars aligned and that happened. But the responsibilities and the communications with all of our mutual aid partners are spot on.
So ordinarily, there would be that notification in advance? Okay, thank you.
Councilor Baganski?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, just like the water main issue, timing is critical for these folks. We're in the process of ordering a new piece of equipment, just kind of, I know that the tanker truck is not your first choice. What would the timeline, just so people would understand that even if we ordered it tomorrow, the timeline is 3 to 4 years at this point, probably?
Well, there's an initial timeline of our department developing a specification for the type of tanker that we would need if we ever went down that road. So there's where's my expertise guy? 2 or 3 months, at least, maybe 6 months longer to.
Within 6 months, we could create a purchase specification for a truck that will support the school.
Right.
And then there's a process through here of how long that would take to get approved, and then anywhere from 2 to 4 years to be built.
So you could be looking at 3 to 5 years before you
Minimum
actually
3 to
have
5
one
years
on
before
site.
we
Right,
can see a truck
again,
in
I
town.
just want people to understand that, I know everybody's anxious and we want to see something done, but it's just not going to be, it's just not going to be an overnight fix. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Willett?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So Chief, and this is also from Mr. Stetson. So our challenge here with the fire was the fire hydrants were, I don't know how many feet below the level, how many feet of altitude, if you will, below the top of the hill they were. The $4 million option to run water, does that bring water all the way down the hill, like all the way in front of all the houses, or is that just to a hydrant?
My memory of that meeting was it brings it all the way to the town line. On Needle River.
All the way
To
going
the town
downhill
line.
on the other side?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we had an option to place one hydrant at the top of the hill or somewhere near the top of the hill where gravity wouldn't be our enemy and you could pump right out of it, how far from the existing hydrant would that be, and can we get a quote on what that would be? At least that takes care of.
We can certainly ask Connecticut Water for that, if they could put that together. The one thing I would just caution is they're in the business of selling water. So they're gonna probably push to have that water line go past as many residences as possible. So I can ask, they may not be very favorable towards doing something like that though.
All right, thank you.
Councilor Balboni?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Chief. I believe Mr. Burke was up here speaking about putting his own tanks in. Can you speak to us as to why that would be ineffective? You said a tanker can hold 2,000 to 3,000 gallons. He was talking about 12,000 gallon tanks. I would think that 12,000 is the equivalent of 6 tankers. So it'd be nice. Why can't we use that?
I don't know of any fire department locally or across the country that uses private water supplies without knowing what's in it, how to hook up to it, how to train with it. Just to say there's a tanker here, use it. I don't know if there's gasoline in there, I don't know if there's milk in there, or if there's water in there. I don't know what's in there. I don't know how to hook up to it. We've never trained on it. So if we were ever to do something, just like we do with our hydrants, just like we do with our ponds, we train and we practice to make sure that we can operate safely and efficiently. Having just somebody put a tank in a yard, I don't know what's in it, I don't know how to use it. It's not something I or any other fire department that I know of would use.
Thank you.
Councilor Cordero?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Chief, I just want to reiterate, you mentioned several times, but just make sure it's clear, that you had mentioned that 1 tanker was available out of 3. Let's say 3 were available, and they did respond. What would have been the outcome? Would it have been the same outcome, just done in a shorter period of time?
Without being specific to that fire, I don't think the outcome would have changed any differently. I think having tankers available in our system are a great tool to have for most fires, but every fire is different, and I don't think the outcome would have changed if we had a hydrant in the front yard.
Right.
Never mind tankers. I think the outcome would have been the same.
Okay. So us pursuing a tanker would be really not cost effective, if you really think about it.
Not at all.
Okay.
Councilor Pendleton, you had your light on, or?
I have how many mutual aid towns responded?
I don't have it right in front of me. I think it was 11.
I thought it was 12.
At the scene and jurisdictional coverage.
Thank you.
And Deputy Mayor, you had your light on earlier.
This is a stupid question, but I'll ask it anyway. We can, if there's a hydrant and it's in Vernon, can we hook up to that if we need to?
Yes,
okay,
definitely.
I knew it was stupid, but I just wanted to check.
Thank you, Chief. I think we're done with item number 2. Okay, now we're on to item 3. Oh, yes, sorry, Mr. Syracuse, I wanted to get all the, you have a question regarding item 1 or 2? Yeah,
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I just want to point something out.
Is this a question regarding the items on some of the answers that you heard
Yeah.
from Mr. Stetson?
I just want to point out to you guys that Niederwerfer is flanked by town property on my side of the street, and then the other side is the Burke's property, essentially the entire length of the town. We're discussing all these very expensive options, but what I just heard is we can draw water from ponds, we can draw water from other water sources. Why aren't we just looking at digging a hole somewhere in our property that we already own, cisterns, either on that side of the street, maybe one here, one there, and then I'm more than certain that the Burkes would happily put a pond at the other end of the street that you could draw from. I understand the initial reaction is to spend all this money and do, the big great thing, but obviously we're all hoping that no fire ever happens on our street. So I don't think any of us want to spend an exorbitant amount of money. But if we can figure out a way to just, again, if you guys have never been to the bird sanctuary, it's, in my opinion, the most beautiful park we have. It's unbelievable, but that's all town property. Most of the residents' property ends at the tree line. Mine happens to go back where the trail turns, so I don't know exactly where the town property ends, but I know it at least goes to my house, which is very far down the road. So we have the ability to potentially dig a well or what, again, I don't know the technical terms, but a place to collect water and for them to draw water from on that side. And again, from what I know about the Burks, I'm sure they'd be more than willing to utilize their own equipment and their own land to put another pond. I don't know how these farms have their own pumps and their own ponds. You see those water guns going off and watering corn and the amount of cows they have to give water to. Obviously, we have the ability to fight fires and get enough pressure with water without city water and without hooking up to a hydrant that is produced from city water. So I just wanted you guys to know, if you weren't aware, that half of our street is basically all town property. Again, beautiful land. I think we can minimally damage the land or whatever you want to call it, minimally invasive procedure, because everything would be underground, right? Last thing I want to do is disturb that. And then again, if you had to do something on the other side, I'm sure they'd be more than willing to talk with the town and figure out a way to do that as well. But I think we don't even need to do that option because we have basically the full run of Niederwürfer in South Windsor is already town property. So that's where I would be looking at. And again, I know we're very few folks, but my 8-year-old and 6-year-old daughters and their friends acted right away and had a lemonade stand and raised quite a bit of money for them in a few hours. Now it's not a Burke problem anymore. It's a Niederwürfer Road problem, okay? This is our lives. This is our homes. I don't think we need to spend $4 million to run a pipe down the street. I don't think we need to spend millions of dollars on a new truck. I totally respect Chief Cooney's opinion on the matter. But I do think it's probably a lot cheaper to bring some equipment out there, again, that we probably already own in our town, go dig some holes, collect some water. I don't know if a hydrant goes from those sources. Again, I don't know, but that's a heck of a lot less pipe to the end of the road in a well or a cistern that now our town operates. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys because I'm hearing all these very expensive options and how it's gonna take years or what have you. But again, I don't think it matters where these are our lives, guys. This should be priority number one. We have folks in town that potentially will lose their homes in a fire in an instant. Chief Cooney said it himself. If another tanker came, it wouldn't make a difference. It probably wouldn't have made a difference.
Good.
But I would love a fair shot. So I appreciate you letting me talk
Sir,
again.
thank you. I just want to do a point of order. We have a document in front of us that has other options on here besides that we haven't discussed yet. So I just want to make you aware that there are more affordable options that we are going to
Right, and I
hopefully-
was just going to have Mr. Stetson address that because this still would have to go to planning and zoning. It probably would have to go to DEEP to have permission to even dig onto the sanctuary. So there's a lot of regulations that we would have to deal with. So that's why I was going to have Mr. Stetson.
And we're looking
address
at more affordable ways of dealing with this.
Beautiful. I just want to make sure that you guys
I don't
do
know
that.
if you've seen the memo.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay,
I
we
don't
have
get
a
those-
lot here.
I don't get those delivered to my house anymore.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, Mr. Stetson, if you can answer some of Mr. Syracuse's concerns, because it would be a planning and zoning and inland wetlands issue about digging a pond, and plus there would have to be an actual water source and how far down it would have to go.
Thank you for having me back up here. Mr. Syracuse is spot on that the cheapest approach to this would be a dry well or a cistern installed along Niederwürfer Road. And you can go online and look at the historical satellite images, and almost directly across the street, there used to be a dry pond from Mr. Burke's house. Currently, that pond is no longer in existence because I haven't done the soils analysis out there, but I believe the water table is rather low, and to take a pond out there and have it hold water would be rather challenging beyond just the permitting aspects of it. And then we're talking about security and dependability. Well, we're in the middle of a drought. If anybody's looked at the Connecticut River lately, this dry well that everybody would be relying on for firefighting right now would be ineffective at best. So you can go onto the interactive map, GIS, and go back to 1940s, and there's a pond already dug out there with no water in it. I would be remiss.
Is that on town property?
Yep.
Okay.
I would be remiss if I didn't add that I lived in Tallinn, Connecticut. There is no water there, and when I bought my house, there's a little form that says, "Are you aware that there's no hydrants here?" And there's whole communities that survive without having water service in front of their houses. And my heart goes out to the Burke family. I've known the Burkes for decades, and I wish we weren't all here talking about this right now because it is a tragedy. But I'll leave it at that.
Councilor Fitzgerald?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So under the option number 5 for the installation of the dry fire hydrant, it says under the cons that there are environmental and permitting challenges. Obviously, one of those environmental challenges is, where the water table is. But could you elaborate a little bit on what permitting challenges there would be for us if it's on our
So
land?
any work that's going to be done to any property would have to go through 824 referral, and it would have to go through a couple different reviews from different commissions. The property along Niederwerfer Road is conservation area. I'm sure there's a lot of hoops that we would have to jump through in order to impact the sanctuary.
Could I just keep follow up? So would the permitting challenges be all kind of, are you talking about local review from different? So not like, we're not dealing with the state on any of this, it would all be local?
Unless we're impacting some wetlands, we wouldn't have to engage with DEEP.
Okay. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
So I wonder, would it make sense to do a little more digging on some of these, like 3, 4, 5, to better understand what some possibilities are and have a special meeting? Because, maybe we should probably include the other areas that also are not serviced by hydrants to see, what are some options? Because if a pond is dry, that might be that particular. I know I bought a house and I had a well and never had a well before, but what the man told me that I bought the house from, assuming he's telling me the truth, is that I shouldn't have to worry about the well because it's deep and it has a lot of water. Now, I know we're in a drought, so wouldn't be surprised if I have to hook up eventually to that water on the street, but that's what he told me. So if we could get something deep that we could fill a pond with, it might be worth doing one of these, smaller, kind of what Councilor Pendleton said, Councilor Fitzgerald said. So would it make sense to do some more research and have a special meeting to talk about this topic? So that we also get, your thoughts, all of the neighbors that are here tonight, what you think of these different things, but also can we dig a little bit deeper into it?
Just so you're aware, these are the neighbors' suggestions.
Oh, okay.
All these
Sorry.
were brought to me, and I brought them to the town manager and who.
And this document was not just authored and generated by the fire department, the building department, the fire marshal's office, the Department of Public Works, and the Planning and Zoning Department all helped craft this message for you folks.
Oh, I think it's a great job. Don't misunderstand me. I think it's a great job, but I always like to push the boundaries a little bit. I think that if there's something that we can do that would work. So we don't want to do things that won't work. So I think Chief and all the experts at the fire department, who I think do a phenomenal job here, I just want to see, you know, I know you did a really good job, but like, we didn't have a whole lot of time, so.
Councilor
can we
Carey,
do-
to your point, I did not do an analysis of recharging the dry well with a well. You know, we could absolutely do that, but drilling a well, having a power source, these things don't happen for free.
Agree. So I don't know if you guys, sorry. Councilors, do you see any benefit to having a special meeting and looking at this a little bit further, or?
I think we can have an internal meeting, or do you? Counselor Pendleton?
I have a couple of questions. First of all, with everything that you're saying, are we going to have the same conversation 19 other times with the 19 other streets and locations in our town? That's one. Two, I'd like to start with item number 5. If we can gather some more information, which is the most affordable, start with item number 5 with this particular situation and see if we can look at the pond, if we can, what we have to do, what would have to happen.
Like all the permitting things and things like that.
Thank you, local people that have to be happy, you know, and we meet their requirements, and maybe get back to us with the most affordable, item number 5. And that's a lot of work right there in itself, I'm thinking.
And that's not going to be done in really quick, so.
Right, it's gonna take time, you know. With item number, no, I think starting with item number 5, because that's gonna be a lot of work, and then come back to us with some answers on that, if that's okay. Is that
Absolutely.
okay? I'm sorry, Mr. Sessom.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Counselor Cordero?
Yeah, so looking through all this, because I was just going step by step. Number 1, obviously the most expensive, the water main. That's why I asked about number 2. The fire tanker doesn't seem really feasible, so moving down to underground water cistern and so forth, 3, 4, and 5. And obviously, Councilor Pendleton, I agree with the last number 5. If it's the most cost-effective, but what time frame? If number 5 takes longer, let's say 2 years, and number 4, installation of above-ground water storage tank, takes 6 months. So I take all things into factor, like which one's the most cost-effective, common sense, and how long out of all those can we get it done the quickest, efficient, and most effective to the residents in that neighborhood. So I think, yeah, public hearing, I think will be important to get input from everybody, you know, to see which one is, can get done the quickest and most effective. Not only just quick, but effective as well.
I think Mr.
Counselor Pendleton?
Sorry. I think Mr. Maniscalco needs to hear, it's all right, it's just a bunch of firefighters in the room. But I think Mr. Maniscalco needs to hear our request. Sir, I appreciate you, and I understand you're the director of your department. I do not have the authority to ask you to do anything. This council does not either. So I think we need to ask our town manager to ask you or direct you in which direction to go. And I'm sorry, I took it upon myself to ask you to do that. We cannot do that. I'm sorry.
Just to kind of make sure I'm hearing everybody correctly, I think we want to probably look into the dry hydrant scenario. And if I'm correct in what I heard from Mr. Vincent, or Mr. Stetson, I believe we would probably have to expend some funds to do some test wells to ensure that water wouldn't seep through the ground, things of that nature. Are we looking to actually go to that invasive of a level, or are you just looking for something more cursory on the surface level, like identify permitting, do some reviews on the conservation easement? Like, is this even legally allowed to be done there? Like how,
I think that
or
would
do
be
you want us to actually
appropriate.
go all the way and drill the wells and everything else?
Because you don't want to dig the wells if you can't go through the.
Permitting phase.
Right, the permitting, or if it's even allowable, since it's a sanctuary.
So kind of do the paper review first and then come back to you and we'll let you know where that is.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking 3, 4, and 5.
3, 4, and 5.
3, 4, and 5, if we could get some answers on that, on the speed, on how quickly it can get done,
Efficiency.
the affordability,
The
the approval from the town needs, the town perspectives of all the boards.
Well, so.
Counselor
else?
Willett.
It's discussion, so
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Madam Mayor. So, yeah, it's more of a discussion. Are we allowed on the sanctuary, could we just go do a perk test on that site real quickly? Could we just throw a shovel in the ground, throw the tube in, and actually get a perk test to see if
I'm not positive
it's
that
impervious
we
or
are.
not?
We would have to review the actual easement that's on the property.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting at, like, doing the paper review
Yeah,
first.
do the paper review first, just, because we don't want to do something and be in violation of our own regs.
Thank you.
You all set, Counselor Cordero? You sure? You've got more to say.
Well, no, I disagree. I would just want to, I mean, residents want answers. I think I want answers. I think we all want answers.
Right.
And we just, like I said, affordability, efficiency, and how soon can we get it done.
And what we need to do.
Your mic, please.
And what we need to do to appease the town boards for approval of
Correct.
anything that we do.
All the boards, yeah.
Yeah.
In the process.
Right, so we didn't forget anything. Can we get a consensus on that? Just so I'm not, and you're not, go ahead, sorry.
Can we add one more to the list too?
Please.
And actually, Mr. Stetson mentioned it, and maybe we should see a little bit more research on it. That would be a deep well, right?
Right.
That's
part of it.
powered and, I don't think that's one of these
No,
items, is it? But
It's not on here.
we probably should.
A what well?
A deep well.
Oh, deep well.
Right, so we know that it's well-fed and power, obviously got to run power to it, pressurize it, all that kind of stuff, but I think it's worthy of discussion with all these other options.
So you're making that option
6, please, if we can, yeah, thank you.
That's a good
Is
idea.
that okay? Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
That's a lot.
Counselor King?
Thank you. I'll yield the floor.
I wanted to mention one other thing. We're talking about what the town can do for the residents. There are things that the residents can do as well that may be a cost involved, so that may be something the town can work with them. But residential sprinklers, even with wells, is a viable option to help protect their homes. Having working smoke alarms that are monitored by a 24-hour monitoring company is another viable option that will minimize the spread of fire. So there are things homeowners can do that are residing in areas that don't have the normal water supply that the rest of us have. Residential sprinklers, we refer to it as fast water, is the best way to minimize the spread of fire. So there's a cost to that, obviously. If you have an insurance company, they're going to probably give you a reduced rate, but there's still going to be a cost to installing it. And as you're thinking about options, that may be another check-off box to see if you can fund that or offer tax abatements or however the process works. But the residents can do things as well as to protect their own homes with residential sprinklers and monitored fire alarms. So just wanted to throw that out there as well. So.
That's what I wasn't gonna suggest to that level, but I was wondering if there are things, because again, we're talking about, even as former deputy mayor spoke on, we want something now, even to Councilor Cordero's point. We want something now. That's something that can happen now. And so, tragic as this is, and I think I'll go off of something that we talked about at the last meeting, as a town, I'm just thinking of my house right now on Ellington, we need to use this as a learning experience for all of us. We can't just say just because we got a fire alarm in our house that goes off every once in a while and we just go like this. We need to check that out and make sure that the proper stuff is done. And so I will definitely take a look at that. I was going to ask, are there things that we as homeowners can do now to get in front of that type of a situation? So the only other piece that I was going to ask is, because I don't want to be on the wrong side of history on this, is we just need to make sure, even now as a council, and for the future, that we're thinking about, as it so eloquently said, we have 19 other communities that we have to consider.
Well, locations.
Locations.
Because this is a community.
Right, and just so that we're all clear, while this happened in one location, that depending on what we find, and again, I don't want to be on the wrong side of history, that we all agree that, what happened could happen on Ellington Road, could happen on any one of these other, and so if things go up, that we're not going to get any, oh my gosh, my taxes went up. Because, again, I want to be on the right side of history on this. We did have this situation that happened here. We have things that we can put in place for our homes now. But if we go down this road, which I agree with, that we don't come back later and say, well, what about my house? And then if we go and say, yes, let's go, wait a minute, I don't live over there. That's my taxes too. I'm fine with it because I do believe we are neighbors. But I just want to make sure that when we go back and look at this video, that everybody in this room says, nope, they did it for me. I'm willing for some to do it for them. I'm willing to do it for them. And that's 19 times. Just so we're clear on that. But first, obviously, the priority is let's check out every one of our own homes and make sure that we're in a better place today than we were yesterday. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Deputy Mayor?
That was a great point, Councilor King. The one thing I'm wondering is, can we get a list of the locations that also, you know, I know, just so we know where they are and that type of thing. And
Councilor Pendleton?
Just real quick, just for clarification, and forgive me because I don't live up in that area and I'm not sure. On the hill on Ellington Road, is there not a water tower tank up there? I don't know. Y'all are laughing at me. I don't know. What is that?
2 million gallons in one tank. The other one's half full.
Who owns that? What?
There's a lack of water.
Connecticut Water owns those two
Those are the water towers that service that fire hydrant.
the service what?
The fire hydrant at Paver Chase terminates at the Niederwerfer Road.
Can they not be tapped into to service Niederwerfer if they put up a fire hydrant?
I'm sorry?
Could they not be used also to? Why, I'm very
I'm not
confused.
understanding the question.
I'm very confused. My question is, there's water there in two towers.
And that is the water that services the fire hydrant that currently exists on Niederwerfer Road.
That's where the water came from that just trickled?
Correct. It didn't trickle because of the towers, it trickled because of the 3,000 feet of water line. The water line creates resistance inside the hose, drops pressure.
Gotcha. So is there any other way to get that water out of those towers to the highest point on Niederwerfer? As was mentioned, maybe one extra fire hydrant up there?
Extending the water main.
That would be extending the water.
Extending the
main.
water. Okay. Sorry, thank you.
No worries.
You guys can laugh at me all you want, it's okay. Thank you.
All right, so we have a consensus that we have Mr. Maniscalco direct Mr. Stetson to look at which options, was it 4, 5, and 3, 4, 5, and our new 6?
yes.
Okay, you all set? Okay.
Thank you,
Mr.
Madam Mayor and
Stetson.
fellow councilors.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I don't know procedure, do I have a chance to publicly speak again or?
What did you say? Item 15?
Oh, I have a chance later?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I thought.
Yeah, item 15.
Okay, thank you.
If it's about this, you want to? Okay, 13D, Counselor Willett.
All right, resolution approving one early voting location for the November 4th, 2025 election. With the register, our registrars are not present tonight, I don't think. But be it resolved that under Connecticut PA 23-5 as amended by PA 23-203, the Town of South Windsor Town Council approves the recommendation made by the Registrar of Voters to designate one location for the conduct of early voting for November 4th, 2025 election.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Counselor Boganski?
Can we just, I'm assuming it's right here, but can we just confirm that for the public?
Yeah, if you have any questions, we can have the registrars explain.
Yes.
Sure.
Oh, they are right there.
Yeah, they're there.
Mike said they weren't here.
Last year, or last election, we have to submit it every year to you, even if it doesn't change.
Correct.
So we're just asking for the same thing that we had for the last November election, to use this space for the 2 weeks for early voting. This space, yes.
Yes.
Oh, I think. Oh, this is the one location, yeah.
It's the one location. It's always here, right, for early voting in this room. Yes, Counselor Pendleton.
Thank you. It just says, Town of South Windsor Town Council approves a recommendation by the registers of voters to designate. Can we change or add the recommendation being this location? Add the location within this resolution?
Would you like to make a friendly amendment to Counselor Willette's resolution and?
Sure. A friendly amendment to add, approves a recommendation made by the registers of voters, is because it says to designate one location. I'd rather change it to designate,
This location.
this being what, the town hall or council chambers?
Council chambers,
Council chambers, just this room?
correct.
Okay. To add that in there, if that's okay?
Accept the friendly amendment?
I accept that,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Since it was a friendly amendment, we can now call for a vote. All those,
I just had a-
Counselor King,
Yeah,
sorry.
I just had a quick question, just to make sure, as far as you guys are concerned, this is all you need.
Correct. I mean, we'd love it if you'd have the town council meeting that night in another room so that we didn't have to take it all down that one Monday, but other than that, that's all we really need.
Well, and that's the reason I was asking. I remember there was something that popped up, because I remember being out there, and, yeah, the people, because they didn't even work here or live here, they came in and they
Right,
switched
because-
everything up, right?
So voting goes until 6.
Right.
And then we have to get out of here by 7 for the meeting. So
Yep.
we have to,
So we had 1 hour to break the whole thing down and then
Right.
had to set it back up the next day.
I remember that.
So, you know, the fact that you guys had a meeting over at Timothy Edwards, if you could do that again. it'd be
That's not
great.
available anymore.
Oh,
We don't have another option right now.
Could we do it in the Madden room?
do we, unfortunately.
yeah, we don't either.
No, it doesn't have the video capability such as this.
Could we,
It's not as, you don't get the full view of your council or the public speaking.
and I don't want to belabor the point, because obviously you have a thing on the floor. However, is it possible to do it in the Situation Room?
You're talking about the
Might
EOC?
not be enough room for public.
Well, I can talk to IT about either the Friends Room at the library or possibly the Emergency Operations Center. I'm not positive.
Yeah, that's what I meant, because I mean, you know they got all the equipment over there in the emergency room, so that may,
We can try
have that
to
as an
do a
agenda
different
item
location.
for next time to find. a
yes, okay, that's fine.
Although,
Um,
IT is texting me as I'm talking, saying no.
Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah.
No, don't come in here now, Scott.
It's okay,
No.
we'll do
That
it. We'll
didn't
just
take long.
complain a little bit.
Your connection to the internet and for access is through this building only. There's no real way without spending a lot of money to wire up the EOC or any other facility for public broadcast. Your termination to this big building in the basement.
And you guys can't use the Madden room? These,
Oh, no, we can't.
them.
They couldn't, yeah.
No,
That's
the
okay, we'll
question
do
was.
it. We'll just have to, I'll just whine about it a little bit that night.
Okay, we'll let you whine.
Yeah, that's fine. Great.
Thanks. You good?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, because we had a friendly amendment, so all those in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, motion carries. Moving on to 13E, Counselor Boganski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution authorizing a transfer of $80,045 from contingency to the Police Department equipment account. Whereas growing national concern over the safety and reliability of the Police Department's current standard issue sidearm resulted in the need to make an emergency purchase to replace the current sidearm and related equipment on July 31, 2025, and whereas this transition was unexpected and therefore unbudgeted, but found to be necessary to avoid tragedy by maximizing the safety of the department's staff and the community while also reducing potential liability to the municipality. Therefore, be it resolved that The South Windsor Town Council hereby approves a transfer of $80,045 from the contingency account to the Police Department equipment account for an emergency appropriation to replace the current firearms.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Counselor Willett?
So, Mr. Maniscalco, does that 80,000, is that net of, I know we had some issues with the trade-in value. Is that the new net cost, or is there?
That is the total cost. So we had originally thought we could trade in the existing firearms that our officers carry. Unfortunately, due to the national coverage of what has actually kind of been identified as an issue with them, they're not accepting them back as trade-ins with no value. So that is the total cost for the new weapons.
Great, thank you.
Counselor Balboni?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I thought I heard what you said before, but what exactly did we buy them now?
Uh,
Oh, gosh.
What handgun did we switch over to?
I think we're Glocks, aren't they?
I think we went to
From the
Glocks.
SIGs to the
Yeah.
Glocks.
So we bought 160 of them?
Whatever it takes to equip the entire department. I don't have the
Saying a
exact
Glock
number.
usually is only about $500, that's why I'm asking. I didn't know we need 160 handguns.
I know that they do buy extras for new recruits as they come through and other things like that. I can get you the exact numbers and the exact price. I thought it was in the email that went out back when we did this, but I could get that for you again.
Thank you.
Yep.
Counselor Pendleton?
Yeah, and I think in that email it mentioned the holsters that go with this and something like that. Mr. Maniscalco, my question is with the old products that we're getting rid of, there's special ways to do that, and is there any way to gain any financial gain from that anywhere?
That's what we were just, there isn't at this point.
Thank you.
Counselor Baginski?
I'm going to be cute here. Can't we pretend like we do one of those, take them to Hartford and trade them in for $5 gift cards?
Well, now that you let the cat out of the bag, I guess we probably can't.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 13F, Counselor Balboni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution approving a bid award to Pierce Firematic for a pumper aerial truck and authorizing Town Manager Michael Maniscalco to sign and execute said documents. Whereas the South Windsor Fire Department developed an apparatus replacement plan for the purchase of various fire department vehicles to be purchased, and whereas South Windsor Fire Chief Kevin Cooney and his staff have determined that a priority need for the fire safety of South Windsor's businesses and residences is the lease purchase of a new replacement pumper aerial truck to meet those needs. And whereas the town of South Windsor has appropriately advertised bid and accepted bids on this vehicle, and the apparent successful bidders have met all specifications required by the South Windsor Volunteer Fire Department to meet all standards, goals, and objectives of its department. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby authorizes Town Manager Michael Maniscalco to sign and execute said agreement and any other documents necessary for the lease purchase of a pumper aerial truck in the amount of $1,994,000
37.
and $37. There's a decimal place where a comma should be, sorry. $1,994,037.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second? Discussion. Counselor King.
Yeah, I just have one quick question. It says here the purchase of a new replacement pumper, and just in light of recent events, what happens with the old one? Was that leased and then we sell it back and then?
No, so with the municipal leases, they're more like a loan. So after 10 years, we own them. So we've owned this fire truck. It's the one we're replacing is 29 years old now. Once we get the new one, we sell it, and any money that we get goes back to the general fund.
Yeah, I'm not a firefighter, so I'll ask a question. So it's 29 years old, got it. does it make sense to hold on to it in light of recent events?
No, because what we're replacing is the same size water tank, so we're not losing any water. We're still carrying the same capabilities. Maintaining an older 30-year-old truck is extremely expensive. To maintain a truck, you know, most people don't even drive 30-year-old cars, never mind a fire truck. So the parts and pieces and downtime is enhanced. That's why we replace them on a 25, 30-year cycle. So.
Additionally, Chief, I'm not positive, but I do believe there's NFPA standards that probably say it's time for us to retire that truck. And in the event that one of our firefighters was on that truck operating it and it's out of those standards, we potentially could carry quite a bit of liability.
So I have our apparatus chairman with me. We did present the PowerPoint available to you if you want to go over that. I don't know if you want to do that in lieu of time, or if you have any questions, we can just answer any questions.
I think we're good.
Okay. It's
All
even
good?
easier.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Soderberg. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor, say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, 13G, Counselor Pendleton.
G, resolution setting a time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the amendments to ordinance 170, local exemption from real property tax for qualified farm buildings. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby sets Monday, October 6, 2025, at 8 p.m. in the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Avenue, South Windsor, Connecticut, as the time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the amendments to ordinance number 170, local exemptions from real property tax for qualified farm buildings.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion?
Just a question.
Sure.
This is saying we're having a public hearing just on the qualified town buildings. What about the equipment, and what about, we're not doing that? A and B. Okay, so we're just doing B?
Madam Mayor,
Help me.
I believe if we want to make a friendly amendment to add,
I don't want to leave anything out, is what I'm saying.
right,
And just saying farm equipment here, farm buildings, I'm sorry, farm buildings.
Madam Mayor,
Help me.
the current ordinance just relates to the farm buildings because the new section is what you're amending. So we can amend the title as well. But what the resolution is saying is you're going to hold a public hearing for the adoption of changes to this existing ordinance, which is entitled Exemption of Real Property Tax for Qualified Farm Buildings. You're not ignoring the other piece. The current ordinance just relates to farm buildings. You're going to add the other machinery and
and then
equipment.
that'll
And then
update.
and it will also change the title
Okay,
when we draft it.
thank you. Now I got it.
Okay, so we don't have to do an amendment. Good.
Thank you. I just didn't want to leave anything out. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 13H, Counselor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution approving refund batch number 3 for 58 refunds totaling $13,515.59. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves 58 refunds, the total of said refunds being $13,515.59, as more fully described in Exhibit C.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 14, passage of ordinance. Counselor Boganski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution approving amendments to Ordinance 199, ordinance regarding lease referendum. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby adopts the amendments to Ordinance number 199, ordinance regarding lease referendum as shown in Exhibit F.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? You have anything to add, Counselor Boganski?
I do. I was just going
Okay.
to point out that we added Sub-item E, any expenditure related to the lease or lease finance agreement or other agreement for the acquisition of any public safety, fire, police, emergency, or ambulance service, equipment, vehicle, or apparatus. That is the change to the ordinance.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Counselor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Also in here, I know we had discussed it in the last meeting when we were talking about changing the amount versus putting in the exemption. Counselor Balboni, we had talked about making it a supermajority +1, and
I think we took that one,
right, but it's in here.
In the draft that we provided you, it seemed like that was one thing that everybody wanted, so we did include that in the draft. You can change it at this time if it's something you don't want to do.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah, you can change it to 6.
Counselor Willett?
if I recall, and we don't have the notes from last time, I think that supermajority was just for increasing the ceiling. If we were going to do that, that would have to be a supermajority anytime it needs to be increased in the future.
In the future, right.
Right.
I think that's what we settled on.
Yeah, it was kind of like, it was either or.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yes, we have the,
So then you would just amend it to keep it at 6, or you would just keep it at 6?
yeah, because item A is keeping the numbers the same. We're only just adding item E.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only addition, was item E. Yeah.
Okay.
But where are you seeing,
right in the first page, Exhibit F, under subsection A.
Okay, okay.
So can we just make I don't know, do we make a friendly amendment to change it back to 6?
Sure.
If that's what, is that what you want to do? You want to?
Can we do that?
Counselor
Oh,
Bugansky.
okay, well then, yes, I accept.
Thank you.
Counselor Willett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just as an aside, while we're preparing documents, is there any way for us to get them as red lines so that we see what was different or what changed instead of just this is like I know it's,
It's the se-
the document I have only has.
You should have it on your, should be the
There is in
second
the
page.
back? Oh, I didn't see that. All right. Thank you. But, all right, that's what it is.
On the friendly amendment? Yeah, it was a friendly amendment, so you don't need to, he accepted the friendly amendment, right, Counselor Bugansky? Okay. Okay. I think we're good. Oh, okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay. Confusion done. Okay, moving on to item 15, public input for any matter. Public input for any matter over which a council has jurisdiction shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by the mayor, the speaker shall approach the lectern, give their name and address. Speaker shall avoid personal attacks or impugning or alleging an improper motive to any person. The speakers may address the council on any item over which the council has jurisdiction. The speaker shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Okay, we have Mr. Andrelot.
Can I go last? Just let these guys are a little more important than me, so.
Okay. It's your opportunity, so that's fine. Mr. Burke? Or does Katrina Fetzko like to go first? Okay, Mr. Burke.
I'm Bill Burke, 354 Niederwerfer Road, South Windsor. So, I got 5 minutes, so I better get moving. But anyways, the chief mentioned about how, they have, you know, qualified to tap into ponds and whatnot. There's a half-acre pond on our farm, and they didn't even make an attempt to tie into it. It's, half-acre pond, 3 feet deep. The pond is 15 feet deep, but every 3 feet is, 488,000 gallons. There's millions of gallons of water right on our property. They never, I sat there, watched the house burn, they never even asked me where's another water source. I own the farm, of all people, would know where else there's water. But again, I'm not talking about the fire, it's just a point that, you know, they're saying they're qualified to do it, but in this case, they didn't do anything. And then he was saying that they're capable of bringing 5,500 gallons to the fire. When the first trucks arrived, there was hardly any pumpers with water on them. We're gonna get the dispatch report to find out exactly what came, but he says they have the capability to bring 5,500 gallons, and they probably did, but it was over a matter of time. It wasn't instant. A tanker, you can bring it, and I'm not saying the tanker is a solution, but they could have brought a tanker would had 3,000 gallons instant instead of bringing in 1,000 gallons and another one. Supposedly there was pumpers and they were scattered all over the place. The length of hose that they had to lay, you're supposed to have a pumper every 800 feet. Go on the internet, the South Windsor Fire Department supposedly has 4 pumpers. That's 3,200 feet, so it took all of their pumpers to adequately get water to our house. We have a video of the water coming up out of their big fancy multi-million-dollar parade truck, tower truck, whatever you call it. The water just trickled out of the top. It didn't have enough of pressure to come out to the top of the nozzles because they didn't have enough of pumpers in line because they weren't on site. I mean, I'm just going down the list here. And then they're saying about the tanker. The tankers are on my house. Again, they didn't reach out to me to see what was in the tankers, ask any questions. One tanker is a food-grade tanker, was hauling milk for Oak Ridge Dairy. It's food grade. It's not full of toxins like Chief Cooney's projected or could be. The other tanker is a pool tanker. They haul public water for the pools for kids to swim in, and they haul water to the bottling facilities for spring water. If he was concerned, they could have came out, at least tested, come out, come out, take a water sample, see what's in there. Put a lock on the damn thing, give the fire department the lock. If a fire breaks out, come out, cut the lock and have at it. They didn't even try. They're saying, you know, you can't access it again. It's just a buck in the system. Here, we're trying to provide water for ourselves. I mean, what else can we do? There's 12,000 gallons of water sitting in our driveway, and these people's houses could burn down, and nobody's trying to cooperate with us. It's like a roadblock wherever we go. Cistern, you could put an underground tank. That's another option. They're $60,000. You put a tank underground, you run a pipe to a dry hydrant, they can pull up to it with their pumpers. Obviously, they're gonna have plenty of pumpers. 20,000 gallon tank costs $60,000. The town of Bethany does not have one fire hydrant. They rely totally on tankers and underground tanks. 20,000 gallon tank, it's totally contained, fill it up and leave it there in case of an emergency. It's a lot cheaper than doing anything else. We own most of the street up there. They're talking about the town and getting into the wetlands and public and this. We'll put it on our property. Not a problem. We'll offer the town that. Put it on our land. Then you don't have to go conservative, there's conservation easement, none of this stuff. Just on and on. You know, and I know I shouldn't even be talking about the fire, but whatever, I'm gonna let it go. But I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Katrina Fetko?
Hi, Madam Mayor and councilor members. Katrina Fetzko, 16 Lake Street.
If you can just bring that mic up. Yeah.
Sure.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you. So first, I just want to say my subject is not as intense and horrible as what the Burke family has had to deal with over the last several months, and I frequent their establishment, I know them, and my heart bleeds for you guys. So I just say God bless the whole street. Hopefully we can figure out something for you all. I just got to bring it up on my phone, sorry. What I want to talk about is the Old Orchard Hill School. I know it's nothing as significant as what is being talked about today, and I understand that you guys are not allowed to give me any answers. But my concern with the Old Orchard Hill School referendum item is that it's just the one phase. I was here last year during a meeting where the architects sat here and talked about a pool that was part of the third phase of the Old Orchard Hill refurb, and there's a second phase. And I feel like it's a disservice to our community that not the entire project is not being shown its true light for this referendum. It's an expensive project. It has 3 phases. I have 2 children that are on the swim team. We have 70 kids in our high school that are on the swim team, boys and girls. We bus them to Star Hill, a terrible pool. And the fact that we're talking about revenue for our town, if we actually looked at a pool that was big enough to service the USA swim meets that happen in the state of Connecticut, there are not enough places to have them. We could make a huge facility happen here in our town and generate a tremendous amount of revenue. So number one is I feel like the referendum is not giving the town, the community, the service that it deserves. We need to see the entire plan. I think the community needs to see what's being planned out, even if the town is paying for some and the Park and Rec is paying for the other. To me, it doesn't matter. And that is all I have to say.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Andrelot.
Yeah, now we're here. Okay, William Andrelot, 38 Main Street. Just to give a little clarification on, it was supposed to be a package farm building machinery exemption. We're trying to get them to move them to $500,000 each. There's really only 3 farm buildings or 4 that qualify for the extra exemption anyways. And with the machinery, I think there's only a couple businesses that would exceed that amount. So it's not a big impact. Like she said, 350,000 taxable dollars or whatever, works out to about $12,000 for the year to cover the whole thing. Now, the only thing that you didn't get right was get the farm building exemption right now, you have to derive $15,000 of income or expenses to qualify for that. So if you own 2 horses, you don't qualify for it. They're personal horses. You have to use them in the farming part of it there. But the problem is, most of those people that have their own individual horses aren't being taxed at all. That's why I just want to eliminate it and be done with it. Because really, she's only got the ones that get the exemption, moved on from there. But if we forget to file, then we get hammered on. So we try to file, but life gets in the way. You spend a lot of time on the farm, and you work 70, 80 hours a week. You forget about stuff. But that's the next process. I'm trying to work on eliminating the horse taxes completely, so nobody's involved with it. Right now, we're collecting 0 tax dollars from it. We're just about 0 from the horses there, because we're not taxing the other ones, so I just say eliminate it and be done with it. Does that make sense? That's it then.
Thank you, Mr. Andrelot. Is there anyone else who'd like to come forward at this time for any matter? Okay, seeing none. Yes, Councilor Pendleton, you do have a letter to read.
Yes, there's a letter that was emailed to Catherine Sennis and myself to ask to be read into the record this evening. It says, "Hi, Catherine. Please have Liz P. read the following comment during the meeting. Thanks, Liz. I'm convinced the rec center should be at Nevers Park per 2020 Park and Rec Commission Master Plan. This plan is our latest. Centrally located near the high school, closer to most residents. Orchard Hill is just throwing good money after bad. And that was from Alan Larson.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other communications? Item 15? Okay, seeing none, moving on to item 16, communications from the council. Councilor Balboni?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to ask if we could maybe take a brief moment of silence for the death of Charlie Kirk. If anybody has a problem with that.
It's a moment of silence.
Could you please include the students from Colorado that were also shot and the one that passed away?
I'd also appreciate it if we could include the Minnesota State Senator Melissa Hortman and her husband, who were murdered in their home.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Cordero?
Well, I just want to thank everybody for allowing me to be part of the council for a short term, and also for former Councilor Toby Lewis for his time and dedication to the council, and did a great job, very generous man, caring, cared about the community. So I have big shoes to fill, sitting over here filling in for him. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you to Chief Cooney and to the South Windsor Fire Department for the wonderful ceremony that they had last Thursday in remembrance of the 24th anniversary of 9/11. It was a very moving ceremony, and most of us were there and just greatly appreciate it.
Seeing nothing further, moving on to item 17, executive session. Having none, moving on to 18. We have a motion to adjourn. We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We are adjourned.